AI revolution. So just allow me to share my screen so that just give me a minute to share my screen. Please kindly confirm once you see my screen. Thank you.
I see your screen.
All right. You can see the slide, right?
Yes.
Oh, great. So let's get started. So today we are going to be talking about the AI transition, what it means for your career. And we're going to be starting with, first of all, talking about what to expect. So by the end of this session, we expect that you'll be walking away with insights on how to de-risk your role. There have been so much hypes and fears around, oh, AI is going to come for our jobs, AI is going to come for our roles. Will AI do this? Will AI do that? Here we are going to be clarifying some of those things, and you're going to be able to see how you can actually, complement what you do with AI and be able to stay, relevant in your roles. So secondly, we'll also be sharing some resources, some free resources by the end of the session, which includes a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And then we would also share an AI workflow you can implement, an example of an AI workflow you can implement right now, key insights into the evolving job market, actionable strategies for upskilling and reskilling, and the clear understanding of how AI can augment your career. And, for example, we are going to be looking at practical examples, for instance, how, I used AI to cut a 5-hour report writing that task down to 45 minutes, and kind of tools you can also use to do these things. So why now? Why now? The urgency of the AI transition. Number one, mainstream integration. AI adoption is becoming mainstream, or has even become mainstream. And in fact, since the acceleration of generative AI in 2022, when the GPT-3 model was released, we've been seeing massive advancements in AI technology. We've been seeing massive improvements, massive progress. And this just means one thing. This means that we are not going back anymore. We are only going forward. AI has been around for well over 4 or 5 decades, since the 50s actually, with Alan Turing, asking the basic question on, can computers or machines think? And then there was early AI investment in the 60s, and then in the 70s, funding dropped, and then in the 80s picked up again because of Japan's, the US started investing in AI gradually because of the milestones Japan had been making. And then in the 2000s, with the advent of the internet, AI adoption became, AI research, continued and thrived, especially with advancements in machine learning. And with cloud computing in the 2010s, AI technology advanced to a whole new level because we were able to, for the first time in history, run AI models on large amounts of computing power, thanks to cloud technology that allows us to decentralize and democratize, compute access, or computing resources access. So AI advancement had continued since then, and the likes of Google, OpenAI, they've been at the forefront of AI research. NVIDIA has been also at the forefront of building AI hardware. And in 2022, with the GPT 3.5 model, with the GPT-3 model, and then later 3.5, generative AI became mainstream, where we had ChatGPT, and then we had Gemini. We started having Llama and the rest of them, and then the Chinese counterparts as well are also competing. So a lot of all new use cases have actually evolved since 2022, and it's been a very short period of time. And within 2024, 2025 alone, we've seen dramatic shifts from just chat bot interface AI to having agentic AI, where AI can autonomously carry out tasks that humans will normally do, especially repetitive tasks. And that is becoming something very major now. And that is the reason why we see a lot of companies and industries and governments investing massively in AI. The EU has invested hundreds of billions of euros into AI. The United States government, the big tech companies, Mark Zuckerberg and his Meta team, they are basically competing for AI talent. They are paying as high as $100 million packages to AI researchers, to just be able to, entice them to Meta reality labs. So there's so much going on right now, and this is because we are moving from something called, artificial intelligence to artificial general intelligence. And artificial intelligence is where AI is being used for specific use cases like we've been experiencing in the past decade. The Google Maps, for instance, uses AI to be able to predict routes, to be able to predict the ETAs, and also to be able to predict traffic conditions. We've had several use cases of AI in the past. Recommenders in our streaming platforms like Netflix, YouTube, Amazon. When we are shopping, we get recommendations. All of these are all applications of AI, applicability of use cases of AI. But AI has advanced beyond that. Generative AI has taken AI to a whole new level where AI now can now perform agentic duties. And then we now have the hardware interface, robotics, self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles, AI-powered trucks that can drive themselves. So automation is moving to a whole new level. And what does this mean? This means that a lot of careers, a lot of roles are going to either be eradicated or evolve, or will require to evolve. So that is why we are here today, and that is why we need to pay attention to what is going on, with the AI in the AI world. So, like I said earlier, AI adoption is now mainstream and built into critical business processes across different industries, from media to entertainment to supply chain to healthcare, publishing, any industry you can think of, education, and they're all interwoven. For instance, the advancements in media is also affecting education. And we have other emerging technologies that are also, interfacing with AI. For instance, what do we call it? Mixed reality, where we have a combination of virtual reality and augmented reality. And we can see that with Meta. Meta has recently launched glasses, the revamped Meta AI glasses, where they are infusing AI with with augmented and virtual reality, in one place. So this is just the beginning, and there's so much integration happening right now in several critical business processes across board. And then secondly is global competition. Remote hiring expands competition to AI skilled talent globally, raising the bar for professionals everywhere. Now we are no longer in a localized marketplace, job marketplace, we are in a global marketplace where there's demand for talent all over the world. And now the job market is shifting more towards AI, enabled talent or AI powered talent. First of all, there's the level of those people who build the infrastructure for AI. We have the AI engineers, we have the AI researchers, the AI developers, AI scientists. That is the foundational layer, and then we have the applied layer where we have people who use AI, who can use AI. Just like back in the days, we needed people who are data driven. We still need people who are data driven, right? But we need people who can now use AI to make their work more effective. And it's even becoming compulsory in many organizations. Shopify earlier in the year, their CEO, there was a memo that was leaked that stated the compulsory use of AI by all employees. They have to be able to, they have to be able to use AI. It's become mandatory. And even Microsoft recently, stated that all of their managers must be able to show that, their teams can use AI. And not only that, before they can hire a new person into the team, they must be able to prove that they can't use AI for that task. What does that mean? That means that AI is here to augment a lot of roles. And for teams to be able to stay in their job and keep their jobs, they must be able to show that they can use AI as partners, and they must be able to use AI effectively. It's one of the major areas where it's affecting, which was unexpected, is the software development space or the engineering or technical space, where we've had history of a lot of engineers, software engineers past, who are highly in demand, data engineers, software engineers, data analysts, people who code, who have been highly in demand, right? But now it's becoming, they are not safe anymore. Why? Because AI is already going into the coding space. AI can now write clean code, well-documented code, error-free code, and even debug code. So even the job of QA testers is also being threatened. However, there's the shift of a lot of employers towards hiring senior, mid-level to senior experienced engineers rather than junior engineers. Unfortunately, the junior engineers, don't really have a space in the job market right now. Why? Because AI can actually do the job of a junior engineer, right? So senior engineers now use AI as their co-pilots to be able to build faster and more effectively. Microsoft CEO recently said that over 60 to 70% of their code base is AI generated. And so many other big companies are beginning, their leaders are saying these things, not just as a hype, but they are letting that the job market as we know it is changing. So everyone has to skill up, everyone has to upgrade. Universities, forward-thinking universities, for instance, Nextword University, that I'm also a part of, also has made AI compulsory for everyone, every student. It's no longer an option. AI use is compulsory, and AI should be included in the learning process. And you must be able to show that you are using AI in, synthesizing your research or doing your, your coursework. So, and there are also ethical guidelines as well that are being put in place. For instance, at my workplace, that's part of one of the things I'm leading, put certain ethical guidelines on how users can use products, especially learning products, and what is ethical use of AI and what is unethical use of AI. So these are some of the things happening, and this means that number one, on the business side, employers are competing for AI power talent. Companies are beginning to figure out how they can use AI to augment and to be more effective and competitive, and also how they can use AI to to integrate into their products experiences to provide more value to their customers. And that is why AI powered professionals are in high demand right now. And then early adopter advantage. Early adopters, those early enthusiasts and early users of AI are gaining measurable efficiency advantage that translate to career advancement. So there are so many examples. For instance, I'll give an example of a guy called Ruben Hassid. Ruben Hassid is actually an Israeli-based, or let me say, is from, is basically a content creator by origin. Someone who he wasn't really a big content creator. He was more of a freelancer, actually, a freelance content person, marketing and content person. But since 2022, when ChatGPT was released in November, he had been studying AI, studying AI papers, and he recently launched a platform that teaches people how to use AI without code, just with clean English, and it's called How to AI. Ruben Assid has been able to rack up over 600,000 subscribers to his newsletter, and he makes millions of dollars in subscriptions just from newsletter subscriptions on Substack every month and every year. His minimum subscription is $200 per year, and he has over 600,000 subscribers. So we can do the math to imagine. And what is his edge? His edge is that he's an early adopter of AI. He learned how to use AI, how to use ChatGPT to optimize your LinkedIn, how to use ChatGPT to get more followers on LinkedIn, how to use ChatGPT to create content posts. He's also the founder of a platform called EasyGen that actually allows you, which is a paid platform that allows people to be able to outsource their LinkedIn content creation to AI, which is quite pricey, and the subscription is very, very pricey. So you can imagine someone like that who has been able to adopt AI. We have someone like Clevo, who is a chief product officer, an experienced chief product officer and product leader, who has been using AI, not just to build, but also created an AI product called Chat PRD. PRD is basically in product management. It's called a product requirements document that we product managers put together to define all the requirements for the product in the defined stage. And we update it as we proceed in the product management lifecycle. And she was able to build it to over 6 figures within 1 year as a side hustle outside of her job. And now she's using AI to build the entire code base, and she's using AI to manage both engineering and product related tasks in our organization. So these are just simple examples of people who are using AI. I myself have been using AI for so many things. AI has helped me to go from just being a product manager to being an AI product manager, not just building AI products, but also using AI in my workflow, not just as a professional, but also as an entrepreneur. Many times I've been an entrepreneur, but I have had to rely on hiring people, hiring staff, things like that. But now, when I decided to go solo and just keep it maybe one staff max, AI has been able to help me. So many ideas I had to pack because I didn't want to incur the heavy logistics of having to deal with a lot of overhead staff and all of that. AI has been able to help me to, keep things very lean and at the same time scalable and profitable by allowing me to use AI, agentic AI, automate a lot of things, and just keep things simple and focus on growth. And then over time, expand my workforce. So what does this mean? This means that a lot of us can, outside of our jobs, can also start taking advantage of AI to build that side hustle, build that thing. And if you've read the book The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, it was written a long time ago, over 10 years, almost I think over 10 years ago. And then it seemed very impractical that how can you build a business by just putting in 4 hours a week? I'm making a lot of money over time. But now that is possible with AI. There are tons of people doing it initially with AI, and it's very possible right now. So we are going to go into that, but I just wanted to mention why it's very important for us to pay attention to the AI transition. And let's look at an example of a real-world impact. A supply chain manager now uses AI to forecast demand in minutes, reducing stock outs by 32% and saving their company millions in lost sales. The transition timeline. So let's look at the transition timeline, the industrialization, transition. We've, as humans, we've, since the beginning of the industrial age, we've actually evolved greatly. Before the industrial age, we had the agrarian age, where it was basically agriculture, and before then we had the Stone Age, prehistoric times, the Stone Age, and then we had the agrarian age, which was focused on agriculture, focused on, and then gradually we started moving into the industrial age, where we started having machines. That was basically in the 19th and early 20th century. And then in the late 20th to 21st century, we moved into the information age, where we had more of software skilled knowledge workers in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then we had the microcomputer in the 70s and 80s. Excel replacing paper ledgers, transforming financial analysis. Then we had the late 90s, 2000s, the information age started evolving. And now we are moving towards the AI age. So we are in the fourth industrial revolution, actually, where we've moved from just information, being able to manage and process information, to being able to execute tasks and make decisions on the go with technology. So an example is AI drafting Lego briefs, detecting fraud in real time, and generating creative content. So each transition created winners and losers. The AI transition is happening faster and affected more skilled roles than previous shifts. If you look at the industrial age, for instance, in the 19th century and the early 20th century, when machines replaced manual labor, a lot of people lost their jobs, and some people who were able to upskill, for instance, people who went from, manual farming to mechanized farming, were able to, they were able to, keep themselves relevant, in the industries. Steam engines replaced horses, multiplying human productivity. In the information age as well, we realized that, being able to move from hardware to software, analog to digital, was a major, was a major game changer. And people who were not upskilling at that time, especially in the 90s, look at companies, for instance, like Kodak, that didn't take advantage of the information age, and look where they are at now. Look at companies like Blockbuster, who, for instance, did not take advantage of the fact that, movie consumption was shifting from renting home videos, in DVDs or VHS tapes, to actually streaming. Netflix took advantage of that, and Netflix is the leader here today. So many things. So AI is also, we're also moving in that direction where, people who are able to use AI and who are able to know how to use AI faster for more effective work will be the winners in the next few years and decades. So that is that. Then the dual effect, automate versus augment. So let's look at the automation effect of AI. So tasks AI can fully handle with minimal oversight. There are some tasks AI can handle. We are moving towards general AI, or we are moving towards AGI or general AI. Yes, we focused on specialized AI. There are 3 levels of AI. There's artificial intelligence or artificial specialized intelligence, where that's what we've been experiencing in the last decade. AI doing specific tasks, in specific areas. AI in cancer discovery, drug discovery, all those things. We've had AI for a long time, actually. But AI now is becoming more mainstream, more general. So we are moving towards AGI. We're not fully yet at AGI. But the moment you start having AI helping out with house chores, helping out with almost everything, like you start having robots in people's homes, then we are fully experiencing AGI. So what we are gradually, we are almost there. I would say we are 70 to 75% at AGI, and tasks that AI can automate and handle with minimal oversight, such as data entry and data cleaning. AI can do that now. To feed your data to, for instance, Claude, it can do a lot of data cleaning. Agents can actually start doing, data entry for you. For instance, if you want to test things, try out ChatGPT agent mode, which is available, I think, from the Pro and Premium for Pro and Premium users. You'll be able to see some of these things. You can also use automation like Zapier, Make.com to actually automate some of these processes and see how AI can actually do data entry for you and also clean data, especially using tools like what's the name of this thing again? Sorry, there are so many tools in my head, so I'm just mixing them up. Claude, yes, Claude is one of the best when it comes to data analysis. ChatGPT also does that very well, but Claude, yes, very good with data analysis. Then invoice processing, you want to process invoices, you want to automate invoices, you want to do so many of these things we usually do with CRMs and ERPs in the 2010s. AI can do some of these things faster and more effectively. Basic email sorting and responses. This one we've been experiencing it for a while. Spam filters. Helping us to put our emails that are or flagging emails that seem suspicious into a different folder. So these are some things that we've been doing. But now we can use AI to actually, summarize our mails, act on our mails, schedule calendars, routine content formatting. We want to do routine work, like repetitive work. Let's say we have a content-based business, or we are into content creation, for instance. How do you want to format your content? How do you want to manage your content development or content management workflow? AI can do that. So the risk level is that, the risk level for you, if your role comprises of most of these activities, then the risk level is very high, right? It's very, very high. So let's look at the areas of augmentation. So areas where AI enhances human capability. So let's look at strategic planning. Strategic planning, where you have to plan, you have to develop roadmaps, you have to, prioritize. You have to prioritize, requirements. You have to make, human decisions, not just based on gut feeling, but also based on data. Strategic planning, also any kind of strategic work, project planning, strategic planning, prioritization. Being able to manage complex competing priorities and things like that. That's one area that you can use AI to augment. AI can't automate those kind of things yet, but AI can augment. Then creative work. This is one thing. I think Rookie posted something about this yesterday about creatives and why creatives are very high in demand, especially in this AI age. So if you are creative or you are into creative work, like creative design, creative stuff. I know AI can actually do a lot of content stuff, but creative design, AI, yes, can create videos, can create, graphics with Canva, with, VO3, can create very good cinematic or cinema quality videos. However, human input is still needed for context. So if you're into creative design related work, AI can actually help augment and, enhance your capabilities and make you, a superstar in that field. And then if you are into a role that requires stakeholder communication, for instance, you are a project manager, scrum master, product manager, business analyst, where you are actually engaging different stakeholders, AI can help to enhance or augment some of this. AI can't replace stakeholder communication for now, but AI can help you augment, and we're going to be looking at it one after the other. And then complex problem solving. If you're in a role that requires complex problem solving, where you have to think critically, you have to break down problems, business analysis, project management, product management, you need to use AI to augment your activities. Emotional intelligence related work, where you have to apply emotional intelligence, human, soft skills. For instance, as a project manager, product manager, I always give these examples, or any other management related role, or even customer support, where you have to, apply empathy. You have to apply, human emotions and human empathy and emotional intelligence and patience and ability to listen. These are things that, you can actually use AI to enhance or augment, but not replace. So the career opportunity for this is high if you master these collaborations. So if you master how AI can be used to augment some of these things, then it creates a very huge career opportunity for you. So let's look at an example. A marketing manager uses AI to generate campaign drafts a minute then applies human insight to perfect the messaging, reducing campaign development time by 70%. So let's continue because of time. I would have loved to give more examples, but time is very short and limited. So let's look at job market shifts. And this is also linked to something that Microsoft released, AI applicability rules. This was something that was published, a research paper that was published last month by Microsoft Research. Where I would love to go into that, maybe if time permits, or maybe just share the paper with you. It's a very voluminous paper, but I will try to summarize as much as I can before time runs out. So let's look at some of the disappearing jobs in the market. So any task that relies on routine translation, like traditional translators routinely and all of that, AI can now do that way better and faster and cheaper. Basic administrative work also for forward-thinking digital companies is virtually disappearing. And that's why we have a lot of virtual assistants who are upskilling, in AI-related, skills, because just basic administrative work, send mails, check your mails, manage, appointments, all those things are now being automated. So people, even if you are into that kind of role and you are maybe, for instance, a virtual assistant, you can actually use AI to make it faster. Human input is still needed, right? Or be the person that knows how to set up these tools and orchestrate these tools. Some very busy entrepreneurs or CEOs will be happy to pay for that. And then entry-level content creation. So if you're just a basic entry-level content creator as well, AI can now do those things. So you need to step it up, and AI can actually help you step it up rather than just stay, basic. So now if you are a junior in any field, you should be thinking, especially if it's a very routine task like this, you should start looking at how you can use AI to level up and become more of an, operate more like an experienced person with the help of AI as your partner. So AI can serve as your assistant or your intern or your junior support and things like that. But you must be able to be in a position to guide it, give it context. So manual data processing. So if you are doing manual data processing work as well, that is also disappearing. And then the areas that AI is actually transforming now is, for instance, AI now uses HR teams now use AI for resume screening while retaining human judgment for culture fit. Developers are now shifting to AI-assisted coding rather than just, coding from scratch. They are now using AI to assist not just with coding, but also with debugging, right? Deployments and all of these things. Then accountants are becoming data analysts. So accountants are no longer, accounting is becoming redefined from just basic accounting to now being able to use data to analyze, to make financial decisions, and to gain real insights. So everyone, not just accountants, anyone that works with data must have data analyst related skills so that they will be able to get extract and gain real insight. And AI can actually help with this as well. Then imagine roles. There are so many beyond this, but these are some of the most popular. Prompt engineers. Those are people who know how to craft prompts. Prompts are basically the inputs that you provide to a generative AI model, whether you are coding, whether you just want to do some research, or you just want to automate tasks. You need to be able to give the AI some instructions in plain English. But the quality of that prompt will determine the quality of the output or the work you get from the AI. So prompt engineering, I always say, irrespective of your role, the first point of upskilling when it comes to AI is always mastering prompt engineering. Know how to create prompts very well. The better your prompts are, the better your outputs are, and the more reliable your outputs are. So whether you're trying to build an app, or you're trying to do some research, or you're trying to come up with a report, or you're trying to automate tasks or workflows, the quality of your prompts determines everything. So prompt engineering is a very important skill. It's not necessarily as technical as it sounds, like engineering like that, but it's just the art of being able to, although there are some technical levels like chain of thought and advanced prompt engineering skills, but you can start with the basic and then advance, and trust me, it doesn't require coding, right? And then there is also a new concept now called context engineering. So it has gone beyond being able to craft prompts to also being able to create good context, and around your prompts. For instance, there's a protocol called MCP. model context protocol that allows you to feed or connect your AI or connect your prompts to external, just like an API, but for your prompts and for your model. So that, for instance, you are trying to ask AI to do something for you, but you are connecting it to maybe some of your files, your work files, especially if it's an AI that is being used internally within your organization as an enterprise grade, maybe Gemini, for instance, not your own personal AI. You should be able to connect your AI to third-party tools, third-party data sources or data systems so that it can get more context. So, for instance, I'm doing some analysis, or I'm trying to come up with some reports or something, but I'm connecting it to a spreadsheet somewhere or so a database somewhere. That protocol that allows me to connect is called an MCP, right? Or model context protocol. So these are things that you can actually learn as you proceed, and there are lots of free courses, lots of wonderful courses that you can take that we'll be sharing at the end of this session that you can actually master some of these skills. Then we have AI ethics officers. These are people responsible for we haven't seen so many postings around it, but postings are beginning to emerge. But even within existing roles, you might be required to, determine, ethical boundaries around AI use, not just AI use, AI deployments. If you are building AI products, what are the ethical boundaries? Because AI is a new space, relatively, right? And how do we define what is ethical and what is not ethical? So these are professionals that understand, just like I said, I'm working on in my workplace, ethical use of AI by end users for learning or learning programming. What is ethical use and what is unethical use? How do we define it? How do we define these boundaries? And how do we align it to the education, to the organizational legal framework? So these are things that we need to be able to, if you are someone maybe with a low background or you're into compliance or related work, then this is an interesting and highly in demand area you can explore. And then we have AI integrated healthcare technicians. So in the healthcare space, AI is really, really, impacting a lot of things. We have a lot of professionals who are moving towards AI. There's someone I know on LinkedIn. Her name is Wura Yedusi. She's a pharmacist by profession, but she evolved into becoming a data scientist. And right now she's doing a PhD in cancer sciences, where she's actually using AI to help in cancer research, to accelerate cancer research and cancer drug discovery. So how did she move from pharmacy to AI? Upskilling. Of course, she became a data scientist. You don't need to become a data scientist if you're in the healthcare space. You just need to understand how to use AI to automate and to, improve certain processes, right? So, and she's very popular for teaching AI and tech in Yoruba, on LinkedIn. So that's just an example. But there are so many other examples that don't require you becoming a full-fledged data scientist or, core tech, professional. So, but knowing how to use AI to integrate into healthcare work, for instance, using AI to, one of my friends and I were exploring how AI can be used in analyzing, medical imaging, or medical scans, because I've heard of this, and especially recently about AI being able to detect certain patterns in test results or in X-rays or in scans that humans, even doctors, have not been able to detect. So how can we use AI? How can we start exploring AI, computer vision technology? Because AI is in different forms. We have machine learning, we have deep learning, and those are divided into different areas. We have natural language processing, computer vision, and so many other areas like that. So artificial neural networks, convolutional neural networks, but that's not the topic for today. So, but what I'm trying to say is that AI, how AI can be integrated into healthcare work, especially on the technical level, is something that is also in an emerging area. And then AI compliance specialist is similar to AI ethics, but this now is not just about ethics, framework, the legal framework, but how to enforce compliance. So if you're into compliance or compliance-related activities, especially in finance, AI compliance is a very highly in demand. Compliance in finance and media, especially where we have a lot of compliance requirements, media, healthcare, highly regulated industries, media, healthcare, and finance. This is going to be a highly in demand skill or role. An example is a fintech company that now uses AI to onboard customers 3 times faster, creating new demand for AI compliance rules to ensure regulatory adherence. So this is another area, interesting area. So time is running, it's not really running out, so let me move faster. So the new skills matrix. So let's look at the new skills matrix now. So we've moved from, so for you to be able to become AI powered, there are some things that you need to master. So I always say, first of all, basic AI literacy is the first step. That's the first step, basic AI literacy. With basic AI literacy, you understand at least what AI is. And then most importantly, know how to structure prompts, prompt engineering, know how to structure effective prompt, know how to use, because everything, if you're going to be using AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, or Lovable, maybe for building or anything you are doing, because we are going to be having more AI tools evolve, right, for different things. And you need to be able to know how to prompt AI. So being able to prompt AI is a superpower. Just if that's the only one skill you can master, then that's going to be very, very helpful for you in your career. So knowing how to structure effective prompts, knowing how to verify AI output. So whatever AI gives you, you don't just take it and use it. You have to be able to verify, fact check, sense check, and add your own context as a human. And then understanding ethical considerations. So you need to be able to understand the ethical boundaries of AI, especially in the workplace. So you need to be able to know what can I feed to AI, what can I not feed to AI. For instance, personally identifying information. Whenever I'm doing user research, for instance, I conduct a user interview. Before I feed the insights to AI, I make sure that I remove personally identifying information, so that PII, so that to ensure privacy and to ensure adherence to privacy policies. Number one. Then number two is that if you are working with an enterprise or you are in an organization and you're trying to use AI for work, what kind of data can you feed to AI that will not compromise the confidentiality agreement with your organization? And then if you are not using your personal AI, if you are using the company's AI, what are those regulatory frameworks around how you can use the AI tools? A lot of companies like Google now provide Gemini to companies, especially companies that are on the enterprise plan, who can now use AI, within the framework of their organization, and that data is actually within the organization. It's not, it doesn't go out of the organization, apparently. I don't know the details around that, but that is what the Google promises, right? So if, for instance, you want to do anything that involves feeding AI with your company data, especially if it doesn't have PII, then you need to know that, you're not going to be using your own personal AI tool for that. And then, what kind of information do you feed to AI? How do you protect your data from not being compromised? For instance, there was a recent issue with OpenAI where if you share the link of a chat, Google was indexed, especially if you don't make it private or you just make it public. Google can index that link and people can see that chat anywhere in the world. So if you have confidential information there, that could also be leaked. But now I know OpenAI has fixed that recently. And then knowing your AI tool capabilities, knowing what your AI can, what different kinds of AI tools and what they can do, and then knowing which one to use for which. So those are the things that make up basic AI literacy. Being able to structure effective prompts, create and structure effective prompts, verifying AI outputs, understanding ethical considerations, and knowing AI tool capabilities. And also upskilling and evolving. Keep yourself updated, especially with the ethical side, because ethics and laws are just evolving, right? We are still at the infant stage of these things. So there are going to be new laws, there are going to be new policies and all of that, especially around media, deep fakes, and all of these things that are happening right now. So the secondly is human power skills. So the human power skills are skills that you need to, these are skills you most likely already have, especially on the job. For instance, negotiation, leadership, cross-functional, teamwork, empathy, creative problem solving, emotional intelligence, the human soft skills. These are skills that are going to be superpowers, to have in the AI world, because in the AI age, because these are skills that AI can't fully grasp or replace yet. So that human input is very important. So if you're in a role, or if you have a skill or your job or a role that embodies soft skills, then you need to hone on more on the soft skills, master the soft skills, improve the soft skills, and learn learn and improve your soft skills. And then the last part is the light technical skills. So yes, as a non-technical professional or non-coding professional, you're not expected to code or anything, but you should be able to know how to use no-code tools to do certain things. For instance, you should be able to upskill yourself technically, in a light technical way. Know how to use no-code tools for if you are into products, for instance, and you want to be able, or you're an entrepreneur, you should know how to use no-code app creation tools or web development tools. For instance, we have different levels. We have the vibe coding, like the very advanced, coding, AI assisted coding tools like Cursor, Replit, Windsurf, and GitHub Copilot. Those ones are more suited for people who are engineers or people who are technical, but not, they might be product managers, but technical product managers or technical project managers, or people who are actually technical engineers who want to use AI assisted coding. But for people who are not so heavily technical, like maybe business product managers, project business analysts, and the rest, then there are alternative tools that you can use. V0, Bolt, Lovable, but I always rank Lovable number one because its user experience is more tailored for people who are non-technical, as people who are not coding professionals. So if you want to build a prototype, you want to build an MVP, if you know how to prompt very well, you should be able to build an MVP. But if it's just basic prompting, then you can build a simple prototype to test your IES. And you can actually have a back end behind that prototype, not just a front end. So there are so many things you can do around light technical skills. So no code development is one. Basic data querying. So you should be able to use tools like Claude to do basic data querying. Power BI, if you use tools like Power BI, let's say you're a data analyst, for instance, or a business analyst, and you use tools like Power BI has some AI tools that you can actually use. If you use Google Sheets or Excel, you can also integrate it with Gemini and so many other things. So you should be able to do simple basic data query. Even if you don't know how to write SQL, right? Or if you know how to write SQL, fine. If you don't know how to write SQL, you can use Claude to learn how to write SQL. SQL is just a simple structured querying language that you can use to interact with databases. And if you work with a lot of data, especially as a data or business analyst, then AI can actually assist with that. So at least knowing how to use technical, basic data querying tools, if using AI assisted tools around Power BI and being able to do visualizations as well, because these tools are not really technical like that. Tableau, Power BI, Looker Studio, all of these things. And then workflow automation. This is also very important. So this is the next level for you. If you're not really interested in building apps or products, then if you are, for instance, a project manager, a delivery manager, or you are into digital transformation or change management, then workflow automation is something that you want to explore a lot because you want to be able to know how to improve processes and using tools like there are advanced tools and there are basic tools that you can use. So for advanced, more technical, there's N10. It's no code as well. It doesn't require coding, but it's a bit, it has a steeper learning curve. But if it's something more simple that you're looking for, then you should be exploring things like make.com. Make.com can help you set up simple workflows. You can also use Zapier. Zapier is an automation tool that has existed before the AI became, before AI, it has always existed. If you want to automate things, for instance, maybe I have a blog, for instance, and I want to put all my articles in Google Docs. And then automatically, I want it to be posting one article a day or two articles a day from my Google Docs. You can set up those automations on Zapier or Make.com. And then if you want to now create more agentic workflows, you can also use Make.com to do that as well. And then if you're a project manager or you manage project deliverables on tools like ClickUp, you should start learning how to use AI automation, to improve your project management or Scrum Master workflows. Abdul has something on that. He has something he has some very, very rich resources on that I'm sure he will share with you before the end of today. So these are things like simple automation that you can do without coding. There are so many tools like that. So know how to use these tools, know how to master these tools. So high level, I would say, masters, beyond your soft skills, master, prompt engineering skills, knowing how to use prompts, knowing the ethical boundaries around AI use, and knowing how to, automate workflows, or knowing how to build applications with AI, depending on which area you're interested in. And then API integration concept. So understand basic things like, even if you don't go fully into API, know what an API is, at least know how these things connect, this technical component connect, so that when you are in the workplace and you're interacting with engineers or technical people, you'll be able to understand what they are saying. When you hear MCP, for instance, just know what it is, how it affects what you're doing, and how it can enhance your workflow, your AI workflow as well. So these kind of things can help you become more, more savvy, AI savvy, and achieve more results with AI. So let's look at 7 AI workflows that you can use to boost your career. There are so many beyond this, but these are just examples. And then in the resource document, you see some examples of other workflows that you can actually start applying. So, excuse me. So number one is report summarization. So let's say you do a work. Almost all of us work, especially if you're in the business side of tech. we do report writing, we do a lot of reporting work. And if you do reporting work, you have to be submitting reports to stakeholders, you have to be presenting and all of that. So AI can help you summarize reports, like summarize industry reports, especially if you are doing market research or you are doing, industry research. Summarize industry reports for quick decision making, cutting research time by 80%. Then, let's say you are planning for meetings, or you are in meetings, rather than spending your time writing notes in meetings, you can use AI meeting assistants. Like, there are so many of them, Otter AI, Crisp, so many of them, that we all use. So this can turn meeting transcripts into actionable tasks with assigned owners and deadlines. So data analysis, using AI to automate spreadsheet data analysis and visualization, revealing insights that will take hours manually. Job descriptions, draft detailed job descriptions that attract qualified, if you are into HR or recruiting, draft detailed job descriptions that attract qualified candidates while reducing bias. Then customer insights, transform customer feedback into product improvements and prioritize feature requests. You have tools like that can do that, like Craftful, you can use ChatGPT, custom GPTs and so many others to do that. Then process documentation, create SOPs, that's standard operating procedures from process notes with clear step-by-step instructions and visualizations. Profile optimization, enhance LinkedIn profiles with AI suggestions that highlight accomplishments and skills. Each of these workflows can deliver immediate ROI while demonstrating your AI adoption leadership. So career strategy playbook. So this is what we recommend. Number one is reskill before reinventing. So adapt your current role with AI before jumping ship. So rather than trying to jump into another new AI role or hot role, the role you already have, reinvent yourself within that role using AI. So adapt your current role with AI before jumping ship. Find the 20% of your job that AI can enhance immediately using the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. So look for the 20% that can have 80% impact on your career. You understand? You don't have to start with everything. Just find the 20% of what you do that AI can actually enhance immediately. Then secondly, build your skill stack. Pair AI capabilities with your industry expertise. This combination is more valuable than either alone. So rather than AI or your skill or your current skill, pair them together. So build your skill stack. Like I said, starting with prompting skills, understanding AI ethics, and then being able to, at least on a basic level, so that you can know that you're not crossing any ethical boundaries with AI. And then knowing how to, either if you are into product development, know how to use AI to do that, to build prototypes, to do research, and then also know how to use AI to automate workflows as well. Then create an AI portfolio to document before and after metrics for your AI implementations. Track time saved, accuracy improved, or cost reduced. An example, the accountant who automated expense categorization with AI saved the department 15 hours weekly and showcased these results to any promotion to finance operations manager. So your industry expertise remains valuable. AI tools simply help you apply it more effectively and at greater scale. So AI is basically an enhancer to enhance your work, not necessarily to replace what you're doing. So let's look at the 30, 60, 90-day plan, which I've also shared in the resources as well. So just run a 30 days experiment. Test 3 AI tools in your daily workflow. Choose 3 AI tools or AI processes that you can actually apply AI to. You can just use a simple tool like if you prefer ChatGPT, if you prefer Claude, and if there are other tools, but if you just want to use one tool, just find 3 areas that you can use AI to improve in your daily workflow. Then join an AI community in your field. So if there are communities in your field related to AI, I'm trying to join, or just join general AI communities, or channels. So for instance, if you follow How to AI on, I think I'm trying to remember the channel on LinkedIn, just follow How to AI. You'll learn so much about AI. It's Clevo and Ruben Hassid that actually run that platform together. Then log baseline metrics for tasks you want to improve. So what are if you want to measure the performance of whatever you are doing and how AI has been able to evaluate how AI has been able to help you improve, you need to have a baseline. Okay, let's say for instance, it takes you an average of 30 hours to complete, or let me use a simple example. It takes you an average of 10 hours to go from research to reports, or to go from research to coming up with a report. So how many hours will it take you when you use AI? So you need to have that baseline, right? Or it takes us, let's say, for instance, from idea to MVP or discovery to MVP. Let's say it takes us about 6 months, 6 months, right? So that's your baseline. So how many, well, after you use AI, after you implement AI in your workflows, how much time does it take? Does it take you, instead of 6 months, does it take you 3 months? Does it take you 2 months? Does it take you 4 months? Does it take you 6 weeks? All of those things. So you need to log these line metrics for tasks you want to improve, and then schedule a demo of your findings for your team. So whatever findings you do, demo doesn't necessarily need to be an interactive stuff. It can be just a slides presentation or something that you can actually show your work. And then that is, or show some of the findings based on the use of these tools. There are so many examples of this kind of case studies on LinkedIn that I can also point you to later. And then in 90 days, for the next 90 days, measure what you've been able to implement. So implement an AI optimized process that implants a measurable KPI, that relates to your job. Present results to stakeholders, develop training materials for colleagues, update your resume and LinkedIn with quantifiable AI achievements, depending on the kind of organization you are at, right? So that's 90 days. So I jumped the 60 days. So for 60 days, formalize what you're doing. So complete an AI relevant micro certification. There are so many of them. There are so many of them on Coursera. There are Google, OpenAI themselves. They have free. If you go to OpenAI University, there are free courses. If you go to NVIDIA, you go to deeplearning.ai, have a lot of free AI courses. So take one, at least one. Google also has a Google AI products, the AI leader certification that you can also take. I think they have it on Coursera, and they also have an exam that you can take. So complete at least one, even if it's just a small one, just to understand the basics of AI, and then develop a workflow template for most of your time-consuming tasks. So what are those time-consuming tasks that you usually do? That takes a lot of your time. Pick one task and then develop it workflow template. It could be a simple flow chart on how you can use AI to automate it, and then maybe set it up on Zapier or Make. Then create documentation, and then Make.com also has some free courses too that you can take. Just go to Make.com, go to the resources section, university, and then you'll see a lot of them. Then create documentation for AI best practices in your role. That's if you are in that position, then pitch an AI initiative to your leadership in your organization. If you are still looking for a job, then maybe you can just retailor this to, okay, how can I use AI in the job? And then pitch it to your hiring manager during your interview. Say, you know what, this is what I'm able to do, but this is how I can use AI to improve this within the organization. So those are some of the things that you can also do, in your career journey. So I've shared the 30, 60, and 90 days plan. And then an example of a success metric is reducing near client onboarding time from 10 days to 5 days using AI-assisted document processing and automated follow-up sequences. So this structured approach ensures you build skills progressively while delivering tangible results that advance your career. So I think the next, so risk, ethics, and guardrails. So there are some things we need to know. Like I always say, you need to understand the ethical guidelines around the use of AI. So number one is data privacy. Like I said, avoid uploading sensitive customer, financial, or proprietary data or personal identifying information into public AI tools. If you're using ChatGPT, especially because ChatGPT has a way of, if you go to the settings, and whenever you use these tools, always go to the settings. So there are some settings that are there by default. So by default, ChatGPT would always they will always use your data to train their models. But there's a way you can disable it and, disable training, using your data to train. So if you disable that, then they won't do that, right? But still, you still have to be careful, with these public tools, because you want to make sure you're not uploading sensitive data that can compromise you or compromise your company or your customers on the long run. And then use enterprise solutions with proper security. So if your organization has an AI setup, for instance, your organization uses Google Workspace, and then you have Gemini service, use it as well with proper security and proper guidelines. And most organizations train they do trainings on how to use these tools as well. If you have such, I will encourage you to attend and ask questions as much as you can. Then verification. Always verify AI output for accuracy and bias, because these are some of the realities with AI. AI is a probabilistic-based system. It's not deterministic. So that means that so many of these things output are based on probabilities. right? The probability could be 90%, could be 99%, could be 80%, could be 70%, could be 50%. So you have to be able to verify and double check these things. If you ask it to, for instance, one of the things I always do, especially when I'm doing research, is that, or when I'm trying to come up with research findings, is to ask it to give me verifiable links and sources to be sure that it's actually, not hallucinating. And when AI hallucinates, that is when it's just making up stuff. Sometimes AI does that. So you have to make sure that you are double checking by asking it to give you sources, verifiable sources that you can actually go and check online, right? So that's one way you can use to verify outputs. And then attribution, credit sources appropriately and maintain transparency about AI-assisted work, especially for creative and analytical output. So if you're in a creative or analytical space and you use AI to assist, ensure that you credit your AI source and you are very transparent about AI use, even in academic purposes as well, in academic environments as well. So these are the things that help you stay compliant with AI use. And then essential AI tools for your workflow. So equip yourself with these versatile AI tools to enhance productivity and unblock new capabilities across various tasks. So text generation, so I've divided them into 3 areas. So, irrespective of what you're doing, 3 areas. So text generation and summarization. So leverage large language models for drafting emails, summarizing long documents, generating ideas, and creating diverse content. So for me, one of the things I use things like this for mostly is to brainstorm. It's not just generating content, it's actually to brainstorm. So I personally prefer writing things for myself, especially when I'm creating content, right? I'm naturally a writer, but if, for instance, you might have writer's block or you're stuck or you don't just know what to do or you're overwhelmed and all of that and you overthink things. So if you don't know how to start or you just have that reluctance to start, the first thing you can just do is go into your chat GPT and just start asking questions or start asking it, stuff and say, you want to do this, give me this, and then you start working on it together. If you are studying through the same thing, let's say you are stuck and everything is boring and you just say, you know what, I have this assignment that is due tomorrow. Okay, change it to ChatGPT has something called study mode, where it doesn't give you the answers, but it guides you on how to think through the problem. And then you arrive at the answer yourself. So you can use tools like this, to think and brainstorm first so that you can understand whatever you're doing, not just feeding AI and say, oh, do this for me, and then it give you output. There's been some studies recently. I think I can't remember which of these institutions, but I know there was a recent research recently that was done that proved that people who rely on AI generically and without thinking through or without going through the creative process and outsource their thinking to AI definitely have reduced brain activity, and it affects their cognitive abilities and it reduces over time. So that's just an example on why you should not outsource your thinking to AI. Outsource your activities to AI, but partner with AI to think together and come up with stuff. But don't just outsource the entire thinking process to AI to do for you. It doesn't help, cognitively on the long run. So that's why one of the reasons why OpenAI introduced study mode into their ChatGPT so that they can study and think and brainstorm together without giving you the answer. So that is one. So we have a lot of tools. ChatGPT is one. It's my favorite because of the user experience, and it's the one I pay for. But there's Claude, there's Gemini, wonderful tools as well. There is Grok from Elon Musk, is XAI company, and there are so many other tools like that. There's DeepSeek from China. There are so many, but ChatGPT for me is number one. But if I'm doing content creation specifically, I'd rather use Claude and ChatGPT together than just ChatGPT. And then Gemini is also very good as well, especially for work-related stuff. Claude is better for data analysis, but like I said, this is my own experience. You can always try it out on your own and figure out which one works best for you. And then for creative and visual activities or visual AI tools, generate unique images, videos, and presentations from text prompts. Like I said, prompts are those instructions or those things, those statements that you give to the AI. So the quality of the prompt determines the quality of the output. Streamlining design and content creation process. So if you are someone who is into creative and use AI to do a lot of visuals, even if you're not into creative, for instance, when I prepare slides, I use AI to do a lot of these things, image generation, all of these things. So you can use AI to do so many of these things. So tools like Midjourney, DALL-E, Canva, these are the, Midjourney and DALL-E are they are foundational AI models for image generation. We have Veo 3 as well from Google, which can be used for video. You can create very real life videos that are high quality. And then you can also use Canva AI to come up with a lot of designs. There are tools like Gamma. My favorite tool is Gamma. You can use it for presentations, for slide presentations, slide decks, can generate images and enhance the content you already have. And you can also use it for websites. You can use it to build your website, your personal website. Let's say you want to build your portfolio website or your one-page website. Gamma can also do that for you as well. You want to create social media posts. Gamma is my favorite tool. Canva AI. When it comes to creative work, and then AI-powered automation. So if you want to automate or you want to, build repetitive automation workflows, or you want to build products. I didn't include product development here, but if you want to build products, you have tools like Make Lovable. We have tools like V0. We have tools like Bolt, for non-technical users. And then for a bit more technical, we have Cursor, which is for full-scale development. And if you want to do full-scale web development or app development, then Cursor or Windsurf, good ones. But for automation, let's look at tools you can use to integrate AI capabilities into your existing workflows to automate repetitive tasks, data processing, and intelligent decision making. So Zapier AI is one, like I said, Make.com and Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot now is being integrated into a lot of Microsoft's Office 365 users, enterprise use cases now. And then mastering these categories of tools will significantly boost your efficiency and strategic output. I think Google will also be doing something related to that as well for Google users, workspace users, maybe Gemini, for work and things like that can go beyond just chat interfaces. So, but we are going to continue to keep an eye on this AI space, and we are going to continue to update you with the latest developments as we proceed. So that brings me to the end of this session, and it's been an honor. I'm delighted and I'm honored and grateful, to share what I know about AI with you, the little I know, and I look forward to your questions around, starting AI adoption, overcoming resistance, choosing tools, and also to remind you that those who adapt quickly and strategically will lead the next decade. And my contact information is here if you want to reach out to me, email, LinkedIn, and my website. So thank you so much once again for your time, and feel free to ask your questions.
Thank you very much, Saheed. I'm sure that we have questions are waiting already. And thanks for the points that you've shared. I've commonly said that if you discover that there's a task that AI can complete, there is no point competing with AI. Just delegate it so that you can focus on the parts where you have the advantage. So yeah, for everyone that probably joined a little bit late, recording of this session will be available on the channel, as well as every other resource, right? So you can just get it there at any time. So I've dropped the link in here. You can always join now so that you don't miss out on any of those resources. They will be shared. You all see them. In fact, there's a lot of resources that have been shared already in the past that you've probably been missing out on. So I'll just drop the link here again. In the meantime, yes, the next section is for us to ask questions. And I have one or two questions already, but for those of us that have your own questions, just drop them in the chat box and they'll be addressed immediately. Now, the first question that I have for you, Saheed, is this. Someone that works in customer service was trying to know, it sounded a little bit generic. They want to know how AI can affect what they do in their own workspace. So is it possible that you shared maybe in 1 or 2 minutes some clarity about how it can affect customer service providers? You're muted.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So customer service, customer experience is one big area that AI is actually shaping right now. And one area that customer service has been is evolving around is automated responses, automated response solutions. For instance, we have AI tools that can now receive calls, they can now make calls on behalf of the organization in a human voice. So for instance, we have tools that you can actually use to clone your own voice. 11 Labs can also has a use case for that. So you can actually clone your voice. You can have like a database of documents, maybe like an FAQ documents. So when, for instance, when a customer asks a question, you can actually have AI respond either through chat interface or by calling or by, through voice, robotic voice automation where, maybe you call, the customer calls a number and then AI can actually, answer on your behalf in your voice or in whatever voice you choose, right? There are so many tools out there that are doing that right now. I think Intercom has something for that as well. They have some AI enhanced capabilities as well that can automate all those things. So automated responses, chatbots, knowing how to use chatbots, knowing how to set up chatbots. You don't necessarily need to know code to build a chatbot anymore. So there are so many tools that you can use to set up chatbots and respond to customers. And then for customer experience also, you can actually use AI tools to understand, for instance, the user journey, the user flow, what areas are users dropping off, what areas are users, engaging with the product, what product are users actually using, what are they not using. So things like that, are areas that you can actually use AI to actually enhance. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So we have two people in the chat box. So there's one person that wants to speak to ask their question. So I think I should allow them to do so. But before that, I have a question that says, my current organization doesn't allow us to use AI. Okay, I think this is more of a comment. We use Microsoft Office and we're not allowed to use Copilot. And yeah, I think this is one of the cases that we are going to be observing. I mean, I have observed it. There are times when I've heard of people not being allowed to use AI in the workplace. Totally understandable, right? Maybe for privacy reasons and things. In fact, I had an experience once where I took a screenshot of an output I had on ChatGPT and I tried posting it on LinkedIn, and I was not allowed to do so. Right? It gave me a tiny banner that told me for privacy reasons it's not going to share this. Right? So what are your thoughts about this? Is there any particular insight that you have regarding people not being allowed to use AI? Does it slow them down? Does it affect them in any way? Things like that. What do you specifically think about it? You're muted.
So I think the issue of not allowing employees to use AI is a very subjective one. And a lot of organizations, because this is a relatively new concept, right? A lot of even educational institutions are still, frowning at, AI use and all of that. But the reality is that you can't really stop people from using AI, right? The only question is, how do we? So what I would say is that number one, re-education is very important in terms of, okay, AI is actually a must-have now. It's no longer an option. Everyone needs to know how to use AI in the organization. So that re-education, reorientation is number one. And then number two is the fact that, how do we set up ethical frameworks around AI use? Just like the example I gave with my organization where I'm working, people, learn coding, do different things, but now we have the question of we don't want to tell people not to use AI because if we do that, then we are going backward. And so how do we encourage fair AI use? How can we re-educate people? Number one, how can the leadership understand the benefits of AI and how it can help improve efficiency? So they need to be able to see that AI can actually help boost efficiency and productivity, quantitatively or empirically. That's number one. Then number two is that how can we set up guardrails, guidelines, ethical use case guidelines for the employees to say that, okay, yes, we're going to be allowing you to use AI, but these are the ethical boundaries, right? So like you said earlier, privacy is one big concern. A lot of companies are very reluctant when it comes to AI use, especially for privacy reasons. For companies that can afford enterprise solutions like, Google's enterprise AI solution or Microsoft's enterprise AI solution, they still need to be convinced that, yes, their data is actually really private. And so the question is trust. How can they really trust these companies with their confidential data? Right. So even if this is a concern, leaders can also begin to say, okay, even if we don't want our employees to be feeding confidential data to AI, at least to some extent, you should be able to use AI to brainstorm, to think through as a thinking partner, and then use it to enhance what you're doing. So those are the two things I think are very important. Number one, orientation on education, and then number two is how can we set guardrails, ethical guardrails, and legal guardrails around AI use, and then how can we educate our employees on how to use AI. But how if your organization doesn't allow you to use AI, no problem. All I would encourage is stick to your the organization's policies around AI use. Don't feed personal information, don't feed confidential information, but still you should be able to use AI to brainstorm without feeding any confidential or private information to the AI. You can use your ChatGPT to brainstorm, oh, this is what I'm working on, but not giving it the full detail or data. This is what I'm trying to work on. How would you approach this? You can ask it questions rather than ask it to do things for you. How would you approach this as XXX professional? Or as, for instance, a customer service professional, how would you approach this? Or as a, user researcher, how would you approach this? And then use that to guide your decision-making process or your tasks, how you perform your tasks. So I think that's one simple way you can use AI, irrespective of, your company's policies.
Thank you very much for that. So I'm going to allow Olise to ask his question now. So Olise, you can unmute and speak.
All right, thank you very much, Abdul. So my question is this. The other day, 2 days ago precisely, I was trying to automate a data analysis process. I was working with data, and I've heard a whole lot of people speak about AI being able to analyze data and all. But when I put it on ChatGPT, it was not able to give me any meaningful response. So I was wondering, is this a case of me not prompting it correctly, or is this a case of the model that I used? And I earlier heard you say something about Claude AI. So is it like Claude AI is going to do it better? Then lastly, my second question, final question is, when it comes to data prompt engineering for complex tasks of let me say data analysis or coding, or data analysis precisely, which course would you suggest, or what learning path would you say we should go through? So those are my two questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Olise. Does Abdul want to go first, or you would like me to go to answer?
No, just go ahead. Just go ahead, Saheed.
All right. So first, when the example you gave about trying to do some data analysis. So I wouldn't really say it's the model, because ChatGPT is equally good, or relatively good when it comes to data analysis, especially with the recent GPT-5. I don't know what model exactly you used, but ChatGPT's data analysis is not bad. So what I would say is that it's inherently dependent on two things. Number one, the kind of prompt you used, and then number two, the format in which the data was provided. Was data, was it clear enough? Was it clear enough for the model? Was it well structured? Maybe if you imported a spreadsheet, for instance, and all of that. So I think those two things, and then also defining. For instance, when I'm doing data analysis, I try to define, even if I provide it with a spreadsheet, I try to define what each column represents, and what's give it some context around what each column's dimension is all about, and explain what relationships I'm trying to analyze or establish or understand, and then give it some business context as well. So I think that will help you get better results. So Claude, yes, from experience, Claude, and not just from my experience, from other people as well, Claude is relatively better for data analysis, but ChatGPT is still not bad at all. So that's the first one. I hope I've been able to answer the first question. Then for the second one, for a study path or a learning path, it still starts with basic prompt engineering skills, right? And you can then go, especially if you're doing something more technical like data analysis, then you might want to go into more advanced prompt engineering topics like chain of thought reasoning and some other advanced prompt engineering topics. So what I would say is start with the basics and then move advanced. And a very good resource that I would recommend for that is deeplearning.ai. They have a very good prompt engineering course as well. Although they have the one for developers as well that requires some Python knowledge. But if you want to, depending on how deep you want to go, deeplearning.ai has a lot of wonderful, AI prompt engineering courses. And I think I would also look into my archives, and I would maybe find a way to send more across, so that you'll be able to compare and pick whichever one you prefer. I hope that answers your questions.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for the engagement. Any other questions?
Yeah, those are all the questions that we have now. Let's see. We'll see if anyone else has any additional questions before the end of the session. So thank you very much for that, Saheed. Still stay on, of course. If we still have more questions, we might need you to respond to them. So in the meantime, I guess we'll just go to the last section while we wait for more questions to come up. And the last section is basically going to be me sharing one of my slides with you guys. Okay, so just let me know if you see my screen so that I can proceed.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is where we are now. So we have a few offers. So just we have two products right now that I would like to share with you guys. So the first one is Smarter. Smarter is built by the company that Saheed works with. So basically what it does, it helps you, it's a reading companion. It helps you to meet your reading goals, ensuring that you stay consistent and things like that. So maybe Saheed can speak to it for 1 minute, right? But the offer that you have right now is that for this product, if it's something that you want to explore, there is a free access that you can get now. So maybe Saheed, if you're still there, perhaps you want to speak quickly to this one before we proceed to the next one.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So Smarter basically is an AI companion, your AI companion that helps you meet your reading goals. And the problem we are trying to solve is that we notice that it's also a problem I've also experienced as well, is that a lot of people find it difficult to read books, especially because we are in a digital era where we have a lot of competing priorities, work, family, distractions from social media, and all of that. So the culture of actually reading books has actually dwindled. And most of us have opted in for alternatives like maybe summaries and all of that, which doesn't really give the full experience of reading a book. And also the value around reading a book. So what we are trying to do is help encourage and enhance reading habits, better reading habits, either even if you prefer reading physical books or digital books. So we are currently working on our MVP, which will be released shortly. And right now we are trying to gather interest and also understand people's reading habits, how their reading habits are, their preferences around reading and their challenges around reading, so that we can actually tailor the product to meeting their exact needs. So right now we are doing an early waitlist campaign where the first set of users that we're going to be having to fill these surveys are going to be the ones that will have priority access and also possible discounts and other offers in the future. So what we are offering now is a 2-minute quiz that you can just go with the link above, quiz.trysmarter.com/smallvest. Just a 2-minute quiz. Provide us with how some of your reading experience looks like, and we'll be happy to speak to you if you want to speak to us as well, or you have any more insights you'd like to share with us. And we will definitely let you know once the product is ready, and we'll give you priority early access to the products. So that's a summary of Smarter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saheed. So the next one, we have a few training offers and also a job opening. So regarding the training, we work with a few partners. We collaborate with a few partners to provide training. Some of us already know RKY, but then there are also some other training courses like cybersecurity, PMP prep exams, and things like that. So we have a few offers as well. So for those of us that want to go through any professional training and similar preparations for whether it is job, improving your job readiness, preparing for examinations and things like that, you can always send a message and we'll be able to link you up with one of our partners or just help you to coordinate the delivery of these these training activities. Now, the offer that we have right now, and this is just for a few of our products, which we're going to share details with you on the channel. So for teams of 5+ people, and we're talking about cybersecurity, PMP exam preps, and a few other courses. For teams of 5+ people, there's a 20% discount for those. And finally, we have this job opening basically for an AI engineer. So we have one of our partners is looking to infuse AI into their existing platforms or their existing tools which they have, which are already live. So they just, because those tools are already working, they want to make them smarter by infusing AI with them to make them even more user responsive, user friendly, and all that. So if you're an AI engineer or this is what you do, just go to this email, which I'm going to drop in the chat box now. I'm going to just go there, drop your, send your portfolio or your CV, and you can, we'll forward them to the right quarters. So I'm also going to do the same thing. I'm going to drop the same information in the chat box. So whether it is for the trainings or for the trainings or for the job opening, you can see the email in the chat box and you can just send your portfolio there. So that's all we have. So we do not have any additional questions. That's all the information that we have for everyone. So again, all of these resources will be made available on the channel. So anyone that wants to get them, you can always go there. Our contact information is also on the channel, by the way. So if you have questions that you want to ask, personal questions, or anything regarding any of the partners or products or offers, anything, you'll see it there. Also, like I said earlier, this is a series that we intend to continue with. It is not a one-time thing. It's something that we intend to use to help people to make informed, life-changing decisions so that you're not confused at any point. So it means that we'll also be coming up with very relevant topics going forward. So, and it's also possible that you are also part of the people that decide exactly what it is that we discuss going forward. So again, your participation is going to be really appreciated. If you join the channel, like I said, you're going to be getting a lot of information, all of the information basically. So that's all that we have right now. Do you have any final closing words for us, Saheed, even though you've said a lot for us already?
I would like to thank Abdul for putting this wonderful program together. His leadership, he's a very wonderful friend and colleague. And he's an expert in what he does. So I respect that. And thank you so much for putting this together. And also I want to thank everyone who has been here, for your time, having, to listen and also engage with us. Really appreciate. So what I just want to encourage is, whatever knowledge you keep getting or you keep acquiring, the most important thing is acting on it and adapting quickly. It doesn't matter where you start from. You don't have to be an expert in tech or anything. Just start from somewhere and just keep taking it one day at a time. The link to the additional resources will also be shared in the chat shortly, so you can get it, and then you can start using it to. You can ask questions. You can make a copy of it, and then. But if you keep the same link, then we'll continue to add more resources to that as well. So I wish you guys the very best, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for joining. We hope to see you in future sessions. Have a wonderful evening or whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you very much.